Welcome to an interesting repair video, and I would say it's interesting to watch this video not because of its complexity of repair, but because of how unexpected the fix was for this little guy, which is a precision coffee scale. So the story starts almost 9 months ago. In February, I purchased this Eureka brand coffee scale from a distributor in Italy. This was like an online order that I placed. It's a long story. I'll only mention it briefly, that I purchased it online together with a very expensive espresso machine from this company in Italy. They're called Bertazzo, and I got pretty shitty customer service, bad communication. Like they shipped my 2,000 euro espresso machine to the wrong country, but weeks later it eventually made its way to the correct address. And I'm only mentioning all of this stuff just to explain why I didn't want to reach out to them for warranty purposes when the scale started acting weird. I just didn't want to experience the same bad customer service for warranty purposes this time. So I wouldn't call this a cheap product, because even though it's fairly limited in functionality, it still costs 60 euros, and it comes from a known brand in the industry, Eureka. These guys make coffee gear and they're known in this field, and I have not purchased like a no-name scale from AliExpress for this job. And the scale worked fine for 5 to 6 months. It was a little annoying that it has this micro USB charging port. So yeah, a 60 euro weighing scale that has a micro USB charging port for its internal rechargeable battery. But I got great battery life out of it, so I didn't have to recharge it too often. One important detail is that this scale does not have like a general power cutoff switch. It just relies on it going to sleep via software when there is no action from the user, either on the capacitive touch buttons or by weigh action. And on a full charge I was getting like 2 months, maybe more usage out of it. And because I only use it once in the morning to prepare a couple of espresso shots, that was great. But then at some point I found it with a dead battery out of the blue. No low battery warning or anything like that. So I didn't give this much attention. I just recharged it and continued using it, but then after a couple of days found it dead again. And at this point I started wondering if maybe the battery is dead and it doesn't hold the charge anymore. That can happen. Maybe I was unlucky because I got a bad battery. Maybe I forgot to charge it, which got it deeply discharged maybe, and now I just have a battery that doesn't hold the charge anymore. So I took the scale to the office workbench, as you can see it here, and yeah, this is the label. This is the company that actually makes it. It's Eureka Precision, Yangzhou. And I was really surprised to see that under this label there are these two screws next to each other holding it together. So I took those off, opened it up, and I was again surprised by the fact that it uses just a single load cell inside. I was kind of expecting to see, 4 load cells used in a bridge, but anyway, I got the battery out and I charged this little guy and then discharged it on my electronic load, and it actually measured slightly higher than 300 milliamp hours, which is the default rating. So what's going on? Because the battery is good and it seems to be of decent quality. It also has this protection PCB in here, and what's not visible here, but it's just under the protection PCB, it also has one of those thermal cutoff switches in there. So it's definitely not a low-cost battery if you see that level of protection. So then I knew I had to bring out the big guns to investigate this further. The best tool to inspect low power devices like this one is the Joulescope. This is the device you need to have if you're doing any sort of low power design or repair, because it has the feature set and the specs to measure this incredibly huge dynamic range, and it also comes with a very nice software which is actively maintained by the developer Matt Liberty. So I hooked this up to the Joulescope and I just removed this little module in here which is in charge of the battery charging. So just supplied 4 volts directly to the main board, and I was measuring the current consumption using the Joulescope, and the measurements showed that while the scale was going to sleep after a preset delay, the sleep current was quite high at about 5 milliamps. Now a quick back of the envelope calculation, dividing 300 milliamp hours on a full battery charge to 5 milliamps tells us that the battery will be completely drained after just 60 hours. So no wonder this little guy keeps dying on me. So yeah, next I have to find out what's causing this extra current draw, because the sleep current we should be seeing should be in the range of tens of microamps, maybe 100 microamps worst case, but nothing like milliamp range. So just follow the traces that we have in here and discovered that the input coming from the battery just connects to these 2 pads which held a diode. Now, judging by the position, the package and the markings of this diode, it could be this generic rectifier for which I found a data sheet. I think in this case could have been intended to offer reverse polarity protection, but that doesn't make a lot of sense because they also have this module in here which would not allow the battery to be connected in reverse. But anyway, I think that's the intended functionality of that diode. So a diode, when it's damaged or if it's out of spec, it can have a reverse leakage current outside of its specified leakage current. Now, removing this diode from the circuit dropped my standby current from 5 milliamps to 1.9 milliamps, which is nice to see as an improvement, but this doesn't fix the problem. 300 milliamps divided by 1.9 equals 157 hours, which is better, but still not good. Battery will get drained doing nothing in 6 days, so that's not great. So I had to investigate this further, and at this point, because I made a post on X about this, people were already giving me good suggestions like check for electrolytics, but there are no electrolytics on this board and there are no parts on the other side. Ceramic MLCCs can also cause trouble because they can develop internal cracks, but I haven't seen trouble from those so far in my history of repairs. Linear regulators, on the other hand, I have seen a couple of those fail, and sometimes they can partially fail and just have a high quiescent current. So we have an LDO in here. So the next thing I tried was to remove this LDO and just feed the board with the required 3 volts directly, bypassing the LDO. And again, I measured with the Joulescope and it didn't make any significant change. I was still seeing about 1.7 to 1.8 milliamps of current draw in sleep. Next, I also tried my thermal camera because why not? And it was a bit of a stretch because at 3 volts and 1.7 milliamps to see anything under the thermal camera, it's kind of hard. But if you switch to this 3D view mode that this camera has, I mean, the software has the feature, not the camera, but it does give some really great insight. It's showing these peaks on the ferrite beads. So the peaks could have been observed from these ferrite beads that just connect the load cell to the MCU or to the amplifiers here. But even with those, it just showed nothing obvious, nothing that would cause trouble. Power is just too low to cause any significant heating for this camera and its thermal sensor to pick it up. So seeing that the thermal camera didn't bring any useful results, yeah, my next attempt was, as suggested on X in that comment, was to remove, I just started with these 2 ceramic capacitors because they were in charge of the LDO, and figured I should start with these. These are 0805 10 microfarad rated MLCCs, and boom, that was it. Removing these 2 guys immediately dropped my sleep current to just 11, 12, maybe 13 microamps, which is a value I was hoping for. And if we do the math with 300 milliamp hours divided by 12 microamps, we get a sleep battery life of 1041 days. Now that's cool. So as suggested in a comment by a follower, the MLCC capacitors surrounding the LDO, so it has an input capacitor and an output capacitor, these were the culprit. And while you can't spot anything wrong from the outside, One of them does have an internal resistance of 1 ohm measured with my LCR meter, indicating that there could possibly be something wrong inside that one. And what I did was to just replace these with a couple of new 0805 capacitors, known good brand ones from Samsung, and the problem is fixed. I can now go back to assembling this and using my coffee scale because it's been serving me well apart from this problem. So in conclusion, I think there are a couple of very interesting things I learned from this experience, which is, first of all, never use cheap ceramic capacitors, but this is something I personally already knew, and in my designs I never use no-name capacitors. Also, derating capacitors is very important, but that's a whole nother topic. But I learned that MLCCs are not to be excluded when you are debugging power issues, as they can develop hidden issues like internal cracks. I also learned that having the right tool for the job, like in this case the Joulescope, can make your life much easier for doing these measurements. I would also be interested in hearing feedback from you guys. Has something like this ever happened to you? Have you ever found ceramic MLCCs causing trouble like this? Or I would rephrase this and I would ask, have you ever found good brand name MLCCs causing trouble like this? I mean, in this case, I'm pretty sure these were cheap no-name caps because this product is not subject to, temperature swings, vibrations, nothing like that. So it didn't have any reason to develop these cracks. It just lived happily in my kitchen where there is a steady 22 degrees Celsius. Maybe more during summer, but still nothing that you would think would cause trouble. Anyway, share your capacitor stories in the comments below, and I'll be seeing you next time. Oh, and don't forget to use the AliExpress link in the description below to place your orders for this time of the year to help support the Vlog channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you next time.